Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another video and to a trailer breakdown for the newly released Cars on the Road trailer. On August 1st, Disney and Pixar finally released the Cars on the Road trailer that we've all been waiting for, and there is quite a bit of new information to break down from the trailer. Now, a lot of the stuff we see in the trailer we already knew because of the merchandise leaks that have been happening for months now, but there is still a lot to go through, so in today's video, I'm going to be going through the trailer shot for shot to go over everything you missed and every new thing in the trailer. Before we begin though, I do want to say there's also a poster that was revealed today, which I'll be going over very briefly after the trailer, probably. Although most of what's on the poster is also in the trailer, so we'll probably touch on the poster here and there. But before we begin with the trailer, I do need to bring up two things. Number one, the show has a release date, September 8th. And it also has an episode count. There will be a total of 9 episodes in the series. So yeah, pretty decent episode length. It's quite a bit longer than most of the Marvel stuff they've been putting out. Anyway, let's get started breaking down the trailer. We start off with a few shots of Lightning McQueen racing around Willie's Butte. Now we know that Lightning gets a new paint job for this series, but here at the beginning of the trailer and in all the Radiator Springs shots, he's still using his red design from Cars 3. This show does take place after Cars 3, but most post-Cars 3 media continues to use the Cars 3 McQueen design instead of the Fabulous McQueen design from the end of Cars 3. I would have preferred if McQueen stayed as Fabulous McQueen in post-Cars 3 media, but whatever. I'd assume Red McQueen is more marketable than Fabulous McQueen. The fact that Lightning's no longer in his Fabulous McQueen paint job seems to confirm that this takes place after the credits of Cars 3. So, this series most likely takes place after Cruise's first Piston Cup season. Cruise, although she doesn't appear in the trailer, seems to be in a training suit in merchandise, so it can be assumed that she's on the off-season for the Piston Cup training at the now Dynaco Racing Center, which was formerly the Rust-eze Racing Center in Cars 3. This, of course, means that Lightning could go off on this road trip without having to worry about being Cruise's crew chief. Up next, we see Lightning and Mater on the Salt Flats of Utah. Lightning, now in his on-the-road design, because this takes place later on in the series after the last scene we just saw, asks Mater if he wants to race, and Mater starts going probably as fast as the poor guy can go. I mean, he does have rockets in his back, according to the end of Cars 2, but he's trying his best here, okay? He's trying his best. We've known about the Salt Flats episode for quite a while now. A lot of the merchandise leaks have revolved around it, but we'll talk a little bit more about it later on in the trailer. Also, just something quick of note, Lightning's audio here is very clearly a few sentences spliced into one when he asks Mater if he wants to race. The "Hey Mater" part, definitely a different audio recording than the rest, and this is something that trailers do all the time to try to make sentences taken from the middle of conversations sound a bit more cohesive. And yes, for the record, that is Owen Wilson voicing Lightning McQueen. It seems the entire original cast of the Cars series has returned for this series, which definitely isn't a surprise. The Cars cast usually reprises their roles, but Owen Wilson is a bit surprising, as in the past, he didn't voice Lightning in the Cars tunes. Instead, Keith Ferguson did. So you could definitely tell that this is a higher priority project for Disney and Pixar with the fact that they got Owen Wilson back for this show. We then see Radiator Springs with all of the townies gathered in Flo's V8 Cafe as Red passes by off to the side. I've just got to say, the animation of this series is great. It is like movie quality, okay? Radiator Springs looks just as beautiful as it did in Cars 3. Now, again, all of the townies are here. Ramon, Fillmore, and Sally all have voice lines, voiced by their typical voice actors, of course. Ramon even has a new paint job, now painted in red. I was not expecting a new Ramon design for the series. I thought they were just going to use purple Ramon again, but they fully made a new Ramon paint job, and I think that's awesome, and that really shows that they're putting a lot more care into this project than you might think at first. Also, it means another Ramon they can sell toys of. Now, of course, Ramon has been red a good few times in the past. He had 3 different red paint jobs in the first Cars movie, but this honestly might be my favorite red Ramon paint job. It really reminds me of Retro Ramon from the World of Cars book, but with some of the additional detailing similar to Green Ramon. It'll be interesting to see what they name this Ramon. Maybe they'll cheap out and just call him On the Road Ramon. Maybe they just call him Red Ramon. For all of Ramon's different red paint jobs, there's actually never been one before that was just called Red Ramon. There's also been a rumor floating around for about a month now for an upcoming diecast called Firefight Ramon. Since this Ramon is red, he could be Firefight Ramon, but it's more likely that Firefight is a typo for firefighter, and that he's just Mattel's take on Tamaka's Radiator Springs emergency vehicle toys, which have nothing to do with the show. They're just something that were created for the toy line in Tamaka in Japan. Like I said before, all of the townies are here in Flows, even Lizzie, which is quite surprising. Lizzie's voice actor, Katherine Hellman, passed away back in 2018, and I assume Lizzie, if she does speak in the series, will probably be recast. Maybe they have archive audio they'll use, but I assume Lizzie, who's mainly a comedic relief character, will probably just have a new voice actor. Then we finally get the reason behind Lightning and Mater's road trip. Mater reveals that he's going east for his sister's wedding. Lightning is shocked that Mater had a sister, and yeah, that's actually new information for us. We know quite a bit about Mater's extended family. He's always mentioning miscellaneous family members of his, and like 6 different Mater cousins appear in the early Cars video games. But this, I believe, is the first time we've gotten a reference to his sister, and I assume we'll see her at the end of the series. Lightning decides to go with Mater and to make it a road trip. I really like how simple the premise of this series is. Lightning's just tagging along and they're going on a road trip to get to Mater's sister's wedding. It's really nice. Honestly, I'm a really big fan of road trip stories like this, and I'm very excited because that means each episode can be a different adventure with new locations and new characters. Like I've said before, really excited for the world building and the new characters and designs we can see in this. Anyway, Mater says that there are thousands of things to see, and we get some pretty interesting shots. The first of these very quick shots that we see is of Lightning and Mater in front of the world's largest lug nut. This isn't actually the first time we've seen a world's largest lug nut in the Cars series, as it's also a set piece in the Cars road trip ride that opened last year in Disneyland Paris. Now, that ride had nothing to do with On the Road, but this isn't the only thing it has in common with On the Road. Of course, the road trip theme, the world's largest lug nut, and something else that we'll discuss later makes it seem as if a bunch of the things in the road trip ride were meant to tie into On the Road. It'll be interesting to see if maybe later on this year they might update that ride to be more connected to On the Road. I doubt it, but we'll just have to see. Now, yes, these world's largest lug nuts are a bit different. The one here is on a pedestal, which wasn't there in the road trip ride, where Lightning was seen driving through it. Now, the next shot is honestly probably the most interesting one in the trailer to me. We have Mater painted blue with the American flag behind him and the President of the United States seal under him. Before we get into speculation about this shot, I'd just like to point out the fact that the eagle of the real-world presidential seal has been replaced with a little creature made up of different car parts, which, great attention to detail as always. Now, what exactly is this? I was originally going to say it seems like this is a dream sequence Mater has or something, heck, maybe even one of his tall tales, but it seems that this is some sort of film set or something. You can see there are stage lights around Mater and these other cars around him. Seems like there's just sort of a big garage door or wall behind them, and if you look off to the side, you'll see this forest with a graveyard next to it, and even more show lights. Whatever this is, it seems to be either some sort of film set that Mater is somehow on for whatever reason, for like a photo shoot, or maybe he got into a movie, or it's just some sort of tourist trap ride photo op. But regardless, it can't help but remind me of the Adventures of Tow Mater comic where Mater becomes president on the cover. The next shot we see is Lightning and Mater looking like caveman cars, staring down a dinosaur car, or dinosaur vehicle robot thing of some kind. This is another episode we know quite a bit about. According to leaks, it's called Dinosaur Park, and if you couldn't already tell, it's obviously going to be a Jurassic Park parody episode where Lightning and Mater end up at some sort of tourist trap with probably someone who's made dinosaur car animatronics of some kind. Lightning and Mater's caveman appearances are pretty interesting. They have much more simplified designs with no details on them, really. And honestly, they're pretty clever. The cars look like they're made out of stone, with stone wheels. Heck, even Mater's tow hook is a huge slab of stone. It looks like his towing apparatus is made up of some rope and some wood. And Lightning's trailer looks like maybe bamboo rods all tied together. And this is really weird. We knew from a canceled Cars tune that the original plan was to have Wheels be cavemen in the Cars universe. Cars evolved from stone wheels. Now, this doesn't really necessarily deconfirm that. That short was also planned to have real dinosaurs because Dinoco had to come from somewhere, right? There must be actual dinosaurs in the past of the Cars universe because the Dinoco logo isn't carified. Clearly, the dinosaurs in the Dinosaur Park episode, like I said, are tourist traps. They're animatronics, they're robots of some kind. But I don't really know where these Lightning and Mater caveman designs fit in. Maybe Mater has Lightning and himself get a makeover so that they're more immersed in the Dinosaur Park. Maybe the John Hammond of Cretaceous Gardens changes Lightning and Mater's looks because he spared no expense. This also could be a fantasy sequence. Maybe Mater imagines this as some grand prehistoric battle against a dinosaur, when in reality, they're just at the park. Who knows? The next shot sees Lightning and Mater seemingly back on the salt flats, passing by some RVs and other cars. Lightning jokes about having a teeny tiny taste of death. And then we see this car lit in green with green flames coming out of the side. It's all souped up and it looks like it's probably Mater. Look at the shape of the front and the 4 roof lights up top. And also the teeth. This is almost definitely Mater. It seems Lightning and Mater will end up in some sort of haunted house attraction that seems to be reminiscent of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. This is confirmed by the ghost cars that we see later on. And this may very well be the ghost garage that we saw a billboard for in the Cars road trip ride last year. If this place is set to be a Haunted Mansion parody, which judging by the ballroom scene parody later on in the trailer, it probably is, this may be a reference to the endless hallway at the beginning of the ride. But then again, long dark alleyways are a classic trope in horror, so I might be thinking too far into it. It's interesting to see how Mater has a different look for basically all the different scenarios they get in, which will be great for selling more toys. But for real, I think it's going to be really fun. It seems that the running joke of this series is going to be that Mater is always getting way too into the tourist traps that Lightning and Mater are going to, and Lightning's probably going to want out of them. Regardless of what happens here, I'm just really excited to see a Cars parody of the Haunted Mansion ride. I absolutely love that ride. And it's pretty cool to see a carified version of it. Really excited to see what else we get here. Also, I believe Owen Wilson is set to appear in a new Haunted Mansion-themed movie coming out soon, so maybe that was part of the inspiration for this episode. Wait, hold on, Jared Leto's gonna be in that too? Oh no. Up next, we see the two of them at some sort of museum, probably the Welcome Center for the Jurassic Park parody location. On the left side of them, you could see an image of Volcano. On the right side of them, you could see what seems to be another sort of caveman car with a spike on his front. And out the window, you could even see what looks like the spine of a Spinosaurus dinosaur car. We then get some more generic shots of Lightning and Mater driving, more of Lightning on Willie's Butte, and then this interesting shot of what looks like a bunch of oil tankers with their lights all on in sync. Later on in the trailer, we see some semi-haulers, so we'll get back to this. We then see Lightning and Mater in some town with a repair shop behind them. Doesn't seem to be anything too special. You could maybe speculate this might be Prop Wash Junction from the Plane series. An early rumor was that Prop Wash Junction would appear in this series, but it's still not been confirmed. It's seeming less and less likely. Mater messes up the lawn in front of this nice building. Don't know the significance of this, but this building does appear in the background of the poster. And then they end up at a circus called Circus Velocitas. This is another thing we knew about We knew there would be a circus in this series, and the circus cars look really, really cool. You could very briefly see the Circus Gremlin, whose diecast was revealed last week at Comic-Con. This little car up front is the same model as Suki, Chisaki, Ichigo, and Harumi, all those background characters from Tokyo Mater and Cars 2. Also there, a Volkswagen Beetle, 2 minivans, one of which has a big clown nose, and what looks like it might be a Mazda Miata, like Mia and Tia. Mater is then seen bobbing his head alongside these 4 brightly colored haulers. These guys appear later on in the trailer as well. It seems they're probably some sort of singing troupe. A group of characters I'm very excited to see. They seem like they'll be very fun. Later on in the trailer, we see that there are a lot of these singing haulers, so that's probably what that group of lit-up haulers bouncing around earlier on in the trailer were. We then see Lightning and Mater meet this new monster truck character named Ivy, according to merchandise leaks. She's covered in moss, asks Mater and Lightning where they're headed, and then goes through a car wash to get all clean. If you look closely, you can see that this is the Whale Car Wash, which is receiving a Color Changers playset. It's in the shape of a whale or a submarine. I guess in the Cars universe, a whale looks like a submarine, at least according to what this car wash looks like. Now back to Ivy real quick. It seems she may end up at the circus by the end of the series, by the end of her episode, or maybe a few episodes, as there is a loop playset featuring Ivy that definitely seems like it could be part of the circus. Heck, maybe Ivy's part of a traveling circus group and Lightning and Mater have to take her back to the circus, which is how they reach the circus we saw earlier in the trailer. Mater is then surrounded by a lot of singing cabs, so it seems it's more than just those 4. Maybe it's an entire town of singing cabs. That sounds terrifying. It already looks kind of culty. We then get a shot of this sort of action hero actor-looking car fighting these other cars. Now, originally I thought these were supposed to be actors playing zombies, but I think they're supposed to be actors playing aliens. I made the zombie connection originally because they're sort of like drooling, they're like a greenish-gray color, and they have these big brains popping out of their tops, but I think they're meant to be a reference to like the aliens from Mars Attacks, which also had these huge brains bulging out of their head. If this is an actor in a movie, which is what it definitely seems to be, obviously, then maybe this is where the President Mater shot from earlier in the trailer appears, where it seemed he was being filmed. Maybe Mater lands a role as the president in this Mars Attacks or Independence Day parody. Also of note, if you look at Ivy in the poster, she's painted yellow and seems to maybe have one of these brains bulging out of her head, so maybe she gets cast in the movie as well. The next several scenes of the trailer focus around probably my most anticipated episode. It's a Mad Max parody that is supposedly called Road Warriors. So I guess these cars are convinced they live in the apocalypse, or they've just created a post-apocalyptic society. Really funny concept. What I've been showing on screen here so far has been the concept art for this episode revealed back in November, and you'll notice that a lot of the cars that appear here now appear fully animated in the trailer. The first shot we get of this is a giant cone structure with fires all around and a bunch of these ridiculous looking apocalypse cars covered in spikes. You can see some oil or water tankers, some old school cars there as well. Lots of different car models, most of which we've seen before, now just souped up with spikes and other Mad Max-like details. Please, I hope there's one playing a flaming guitar like in Mad Max Fury Road. But yeah, we have this giant cone structure, and I wouldn't be surprised if they call it the Thunder Cone, a reference to Mad Max's Thunderdome. We then see that the character who's been threatening Lightning and Mater throughout this last little bit of the trailer, the one who's been speaking, is this ridiculous souped-up ice cream truck. He's sort of got a similar concept going on to the Ice Screamer from Monster Truck Mater. But I really like this guy's design. He's an old school delivery truck. He looks like Dustin Mellows or Miles Malone from the first Cars movie. This 50s ice cream truck delivery truck who's all souped up. He looks hilarious. Also on his right is a car that looks pretty similar to Liability from the Demolition Derby. Seems quite a few of these Road Warrior cars maybe using edited models originally created for the Demolition Derby cars in Cars 3. But again, they've all been edited and modified, and obviously they're not the same characters. We then get several more shots of ridiculous Mad Max-esque vehicles. We have this character, I'd assume she's the one in charge here, who is being carried by these two poor Volkswagen Beetles who look like they're just being crushed. We then get a shot of this car that kind of looks like River Scott revving up. He looks a little bit like Revo Koss, another car that leaked from the Color Changers, but according to the Color Changer leaks, that car is meant to appear on the Salt Flats, not in the Apocalypse here, and also Revo Koss didn't have the spikes up top. We then see more cars dancing around a fire, including this RV with horns who appears on the poster as well. And this absolutely ridiculous musical apparatus. I joked earlier about how I want to see the flame guitar from Mad Max Fury Road make an appearance, but it seems this is what we'll be getting instead. We have this flatbed truck with these pitties suspended from wires banging these giant drums, and there's a huge speaker next to them. This episode is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Mater is back on the lawn that he was on earlier, and he gets a bug in his eye, specifically a Vroom Around Us bugus. Of course, the bugs that we see all throughout the Cars series that look like Volkswagen Beetles. We then get a shot of a bunch of cars dancing, probably from the same episode as the Holler episode. Maybe it's part of a music video. Maybe it's just a musical episode. Whatever it is, it seems really fun. And the Piston 11 on my Discord server pointed out the fact that one of these cars is Todd the Pizza Planet truck. So that's pretty cool. I wonder if he has a cameo in every episode or if he's just in this one. And if he is, why spoil that in the trailer? But either way, it's so cool to see him here. We then see Mater in this pretty trippy shot going through water with the singing hollers behind him. And he flips around on the other side. He looks all different. He's like comprised of neon lines. This, again, I think is all just part of a musical sequence with these singing hollers. I said it could be part of a music video earlier, but I think it's more likely it's just them doing something visually interesting for the inevitable music number that this scene will be. We then see Lightning and Mater suited up in Mad Max Road Warrior gear alongside the other Road Warriors. We then get a shot of them racing around the Thunder Cone where we get a better look at these new designs for them. But we finally see who the Road Warriors are going up against, and it's hilarious. It's a group of cars with solar panels on their roofs and little electric tuning forks. So it seems we're having a war between the Road Warriors and a group of electric cars, which is such a funny way to picture, cars that use gas versus cars that use electricity in the Cars universe. That is really funny. But why is this happening? Well, maybe the area where the Road Warrior cars live is running out of gas. Maybe it's difficult to find fossil fuels here, and these cars have resorted to an every man to himself apocalypse, while this group of other cars has decided to upgrade themselves to become electric or solar-powered vehicles, and now they're at odds. Either way, regardless of what happens here, I think it's so funny, and such a funny way to illustrate something that's sort of going on in real life, where a lot of people are switching to using electric vehicles compared to vehicles that use gas. We then see Mater souped up to race on the Salt Flats. Merchandise has called this Super Speed Mater. Next to him, we see this streak, probably where Lightning raced prior, or maybe where Dats Jammin' raced prior. Dats Jammin' is a character confirmed for this series to be on the Salt Flats, probably the one racing against Mater, but we don't see him at all in the trailer. We do, however, see some other new Salt Flats characters, this little maintenance truck, and this pitty with goggles named Sarah Cogs, both of which have appeared on merchandise before. Oh, and also, all of Mater's modifications start to fall off, similar to how that exact same thing happens in both Air Mater and Tokyo Mater. Cave Car, Lightning, and Mater outrun a dinosaur, and then we have some more shots of the Ghost Garage with 3 ghost cars popping out of paintings, and then some cars dancing with lightning in circles in a ballroom. This is clearly a direct reference to the iconic ballroom scene in Disney's Haunted Mansion, where on the floor you have a bunch of ghosts dancing around in circles, while on the walls you have these ghosts popping out of paintings. Also, gotta love the fact that one of the ghosts dancing is a tractor. We then have Ivy jumping over a ramp at the circus, few more generic shots of Lightning and Mater. This one that seems to take place right before Mater gets the bug in his eye. It looks like he's having a staring contest with someone. After that, Lightning and Mater knock over a carified version of Stonehenge. We then see Lightning with some off-road gear on his roof. He's got some lights up there. Unlike past off-road depictions of McQueen, he doesn't seem to have any off-road tires. So yeah, this is a fully new look for an off-road McQueen. He's being pursued by a monster truck that presumably will turn out to be Ivy, although it seems that Lightning, Mater, and probably some other cars are convinced that it's Bigfoot. This is something that we've known about since concept art. We then have Mater with more of his modifications coming off. We then have another shot from the Road Warriors episode during the Road War itself as the ice cream truck gets knocked over, and then the On the Road logo plays. After the logo, we have Lightning and Mater entering Cretaceous Gardens. Of course, a reference to the Cretaceous period. That's a dinosaur reference. It seems this is what the Jurassic Park parody will be called. You can see it even looks like they're using a font similar to the iconic Jurassic Park font. In front of them, we could see the Welcome building that Lightning and Mater were in earlier. And on the left, you could see the spines of the dinosaur that I referred to earlier that I said you could see through the window. The little stinger joke at the end of the trailer revolves around Lightning and Mater being stuck in the world's largest tire maze. This seems pretty similar to the Copper Canyon traffic maze that we once again saw a billboard for in the Cars road trip ride last year. However, that was clearly a hedge maze, while this is a maze made of tires. And that is it for the trailer. A lot to go over, a lot that we already knew, but a lot of stuff we didn't know yet. And before we end this episode, I'm going to very, very briefly touch on the poster. 9 new episodes, 1 epic road trip. On it, we've got Lightning, Super Speed Mater, Ivy as that alien car, the dinosaur. On the right, we have something we didn't see in the trailer, these terrifying parachuting clown pitties that look similar to Guido. Under them, we have a sign for the Destiny Hotel with a haunted-looking building behind it. This is probably the Ghost Garage. We have the painting Ghost down underneath it. On the left, we have something that looks like it says Rolling In, No Vacancy. You can see it has color TV and a pool. I can't make out what it says under color TV. It looks like it might say VHS, so maybe it's this older building. It might be that fancy building that appears under it on the poster and shows up in the trailer a few times. Not sure if these are meant to correlate or correspond to each other. At the bottom, we have the singing cabs. Towards the middle, we have these camo cars that seem to have surveillance gear on them. I thought at first that these might be more Road Warriors, but then the Piston 11 on my Discord server suggested maybe these are the cars trying to track Bigfoot. The Bigfoot car, of course, as we know, ends up being Ivy. Alternatively, maybe these are more cars from the Independence Day Alien movie parody that Mater seems to end up acting in. Then, off to the other side, we have a bunch of the Road Warriors. In the back left is one that looks quite a bit like Superfly from the Demolition Derby and Cars 3. Once again, a lot of these seem to be using reused models from that have been modified for this. We then see the woman who seems to be in charge. She, if she looks familiar, did appear on some concept art last year. A bunch of these cars did, even that ice cream truck. But now we see that she's not being carried by 2 Volkswagen Beetles. Seems like she's being carried by 3, maybe 4, but we could only make out 3, which might be why they all seem like they're having a really hard time moving her. Maybe one of the 4 of them quit or something like that. And right next to the logo, we have this sad clown. Poor guy, looks like he's mopping up the floor. What a sad, sad clown pity. And off in the bottom left-hand corner, we have a location labeled on a map. You can see that the whole bottom of the poster is meant to look like a map, and this is the only thing written. It looks like it says New Something City. Can't quite make out what it is. Probably some sort of pun. And there you have it, guys. The Cars on the Road trailer and poster broken down. I'm really excited for this series now. Been getting more and more excited for this series with all the merchandise leaks, and now, of course, finally this trailer. And it's great to finally have a release date. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for updates on all things Cars on the Road. I'll be doing full episode reviews and breakdowns. I'll be breaking down any other promotional content that comes out. I'll be going over what new diecasts are coming out. I already have been, and as soon as I can get my hands on the diecasts, I'll be reviewing them. So make sure to stop by my channel, subscribe if you want to see more on the road content, because I'm definitely not stopping it anytime soon. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.